Okay. Send this to Roger. Okay, here we go, everybody. Good afternoon. We're going to get started in just a moment. We also pull it up here. And we'll go here. Okay, it's 1:02. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're going to start in just 4 minutes. Good afternoon, one and all. Let me double check. I believe the sound should be good. Right on X. Let me double check that. Let me, sound should be. Yes. And I want to thank the nice gentleman that allowed me to be in this. What's your first name?
Alan.
Cal?
Alan.
Alan. Thank you, Alan. All right. Yes. All right, we're going to be live in just 3 minutes, folks. Live in 3 minutes. Bring you the latest. And then also the latest on Pawtucket. It's another nice spring day here. Look at this. I'm racking them up. 3 days in a row. Okay, good. And how about Newport? Those individuals being attacked in Newport. Yep. Okay, we're 2 minutes out. 2 minutes out. And then let me do, right now, we're going to be live on AM 1380, 99.9 FM. And then also you can listen online at the website, dpetro.com. But then there's Lynn Miller. There's Eric. I was wild last night in Pawtucket. Good. There's Cindy. And I'm going to talk about, obviously, the latest in Karen Reed. But then you can see some of the people that were in the courtroom leaving right now, because it is the lunch break. There's Abby from Boston.com. So, folks, we're going to be going till 44, then I have to get back in. Now, this is big. This is a big part of the case with what's happening. And I'm going to tell you about it right now. And we are 1 minute out. 1 minute out. Again, we're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on X. And then we're also live on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Here's the good question. Are we going to be out tonight, Road Patrol Live? Yes. Folks, it's also a one-a-thon. What does that mean? It means today, final day of the month, all stars are doubled. All stars are doubled. We have 2 anonymous benefactors, donors that love what we do. All right, and we're going to begin at 1:06. This is, and again, folks, we are on the road. Good afternoon. This is the chosen one. It's John DePietro with 1:06. What is it? Yet another beautiful day in Dedham, We're inside the Karen Reed retrial. I'm going to tell you about that. Also, update you on some of the other big stories that are out there. But right now, we are live, as I've said, on AM 1380, 99.9 FM, simulcasted with our Facebook Live feed, our X feed, and also on YouTube. Don't forget, you can also check out DePietro.com. It has all of our links to social media, plus TikTok, which is our biggest platform, 107,000 followers, and plus Instagram, as we're now hitting 56,000 followers. Facebook, everything's increasing, folks. This portion of the program is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. With this great weather that we have, stop it and see them. Officially open for the season. Pansy flats, pansy bags, hangers and bowls, assorted colors, tulips, cynthias, daffodils, hydrangeas, and the colors available are blue, white, and pink. Check out their Facebook page. Debbie does a great job. Debbie, Steve, Junior, Byron. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Folks, as I mentioned, DePietro.com, brought to you by the Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick. Remember, lunch, dinner, or if you like, drinks in the lounge. Plus, they have the market at Cohasset, the Cohasset Inn. Always a good crowd. And what I also like is they can accommodate large groups. We're going to be having a gathering very soon for many of our moderators that we have, and also we've gotten together there with the Road Patrol Command Center. Where do we go? The Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick. Now, because we're in Dedham and outside of court, I was in this morning with the Karen Reed retrial. Now, what is happening right now is, first of all, there was a mystery this morning, still hasn't been cleared up. We broke for our morning break. It was about 10:45. Judge Canoni says we're going to break. We leave. We're all then in the hallway ready to go back in at 11 o'clock. 15 minutes, right? So as we're about to go in, they then remove everyone and put us on the first floor. In the courtroom, was just the attorneys and the families of, I believe the Reeds were in there, and then also Paul O'Keefe and Peg O'Keefe were in there with the attorneys, and then obviously Karen Reed. So then we were downstairs, we were in the hallway, and I don't know what it was. At one point, we saw them bring Paul O'Keefe into Michael Morrissey's offices on the first floor. We saw Hank Brennan going in, special prosecutor. We saw Adam Lally going in. I don't know what it is. We weren't allowed back till 11:30, so a full half hour. And then they brought the jury in, and then Alan Jackson resumed testimony. So I want to start off. I'll start off with the Reed testimony. Here's what you need to know. So far, now, this is a very, there's definite sides in this story. I implore you to just watch the case and watch the evidence. I have people contacting me, asking me different questions. Watch the actual trial. And remember, whatever happened in the last trial is not happening in this trial. It's very different. But Jen McCabe, there's no way around it. She is a pivotal witness in this case, and for several reasons. Now, there's a lot of witnesses, but why is Jen McCabe a pivotal witness? She is a pivotal witness because, number one, the Google search, which I believe they dispelled, and I'll touch on that. Number two, she saw Karen Reed, she saw the SUV out in front of the house. And then number three, she also heard, according to her testimony, she heard Karen Reed say, I hit him, and hit him. Now, last trial, it was explosive with Alan Jackson and the cross on Jen McCabe. This time around, it's very subdued. I'm not saying that Jackson's not effective, but he's taking a very different approach. He's not raising his voice. Even asked her, about her appearance, she seems softer. Folks, there's nothing wrong with this. People get better when they do things. When witnesses testify, they get better. I talk about in politics, when I've seen someone and they do an interview, then they do a debate, debate. Many times people running for office get better at doing interviews and also doing debates. I noticed today, Karen Reed, who's always in black, she's always like the widow. This time around, Karen Reed, they have her in a soft blue. So she's actually matching Jen McCabe. So this morning, Peg O'Keefe, mother of John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, and Jen McCabe are always in like a nice shade of blue. But as far as this morning, I also want to see there's two different things going on. If you're watching the trial, you're not getting the sense in the courtroom. So people online are saying, oh, Alan Jackson, he showed that she lied about the federal investigation. I'm telling you right now, it went over the head of the jury. Alan Jackson, make no mistake about it, he was just up, he's cross-examining Jen McCabe. Listen, the guy is very skilled. He has a presence. He has real charisma. When he's up, it's impossible not to watch him. Hank Brennan has that as well. The two of them are very skilled. But I am telling you, inside that courtroom, Robert Alisi just doesn't carry the same chutzpah. He doesn't. Robert Alisi, again, nicest guy in the world. Just because you make a point, it doesn't mean that it resonates. And I just found his manner, he could be factually accurate, but I just don't think it's being absorbed by the jury. So I believe right now, we'll see this afternoon exactly what happens with Alan Jackson and the cross of Jen McCabe. But I'm telling you right now, I haven't seen him come up with, and maybe it hasn't happened yet, I haven't seen him come up with this whole, gotcha type moment. Now, it's also really important about this, and I was telling this to someone, folks, the flagpole has become central in this story. The flagpole has become central. The flagpole was where the jury saw on Friday at 34 Fairview. The flagpole was where, when they did the Celebrate, when they, were determining where basically John O'Keefe was located. Where were they saying? It was in and around the flagpole. And then with Jen McCabe on the stand, and Hank Brennan elicits out of her is in the dash cam, there's the flagpole. So here's what I want to point out to you. I believe in watching the jury and getting a sense of it inside the courtroom, and we will be in next week as well. What I find is the flagpole is ground zero. I'm not saying that can't change, but as of right now, this is day 7 of the Karen Reed trial. If you're watching and you're the jury, everything seems to center around the flagpole. Why is that significant? Because they can flail around and try to say he went in the house, but I'll say this right now, they're not selling the argument that he went into the house. Now, again, we still have a way to go, and it's only day 7, and this is the prosecution case, and the defense will get their case. But I'm telling you right now, this is so different from the, I'm not sure exactly, I think there's one of the television stations is building something, but what I am watching is, like, the jury, they don't get, what was this, what was like, it's during the course of this whole thing, there's going to be certain moments that are going to stand out. And I want to mention this, and this is important. When I covered, and I'll talk about it in a moment, it's the Aaron Hernandez trial, and I will talk about Pawtucket. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by Propane Plus. Remember, in Rhode Island, call them 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359. Propane Plus, and always online at propaneplus.com. You just type in your zip code, boom, there it is. Propane Plus, residential and commercial. You can depend for all your propane needs. Propane Plus. What I was going to say was, when I covered the Aaron Hernandez trial, okay, there's a lot of different witnesses and evidence, but what really stood out to the jury was when Robert Kraft testified, the owner of the Patriots, and Robert Kraft talked about Aaron Hernandez was at Gillette, and he's working out, and he calls him out of the weight room, and they go into a small office, and Aaron Hernandez says to Patriot owner Bob Kraft, I was in a nightclub when that happened to the guy. Now, why was that significant? You could tell It was just one of those moments, and you could see the jury. And what really resonated was, how would Aaron Hernandez know what time it happened? And Bob Kraft, believe me, he had no reason to lie. Robert Kraft said to him, hey, listen, can we help you? What's going on here? So my point is, they don't absorb everything. There's just certain things that they absorb because there's so many witnesses and there's so much testimony. But I'm telling you right now, the jury seems fixated on the flagpole, and the jury seems fixated on Karen Reed's SUV, which they saw. And the other thing about Jen McCabe is, and so far, I realize Alan Jackson, his goal, he's going to try to impeach her. He's going to try to really rattle her. But so far, Jen McCabe says Karen Reed told her that she had a cracked taillight. Karen Reed said it was Jen McCabe says it was Karen Reed's urging that she Googled that. Jen McCabe says that she saw her vehicle, and Jen McCabe says she heard Karen Reed say, I hit him. So she's a pivotal witness. Who knows? Let's see what's going to happen this afternoon. She could be back tomorrow. I don't know. I'll also say this, though, that Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan, he's very aggressive, objecting, sustained. They have Jackson on a short leash. I recognize some of the people feel that the judge is in the tank for and everything else. I don't believe that. I don't subscribe to that. But as of right now, on day 7, the Commonwealth, they're putting together a very compelling story of the paramedic, and then Kerry Roberts, and obviously now Jen McCabe, and then Peg O'Keefe, and then the visit to 34 Fairview, and then Ian Whiffen, who says, I have him out by the flagpole and the temperature of the phone. Again, if you're a Karen Reed supporter, I don't blame people that say, well, I'm going to wait until, almost like in football, like till we get the ball, till it's our chance to put on a case. And that's fine. But as of right now, Hank Brennan has simplified, clarified. There was no fight. Jen McCabe, as he brought out, she was clapping. We saw the video. She was clapping when John O'Keefe and Karen Reed arrived. So, but I think the defense is also cognizant of Karen Reed yesterday. There was no emotion. Jen McCabe was very emotional, reliving finding the body of John O'Keefe. Peg O'Keefe, who was sitting right in front of me, she was quietly sobbing. So you have two women sobbing. Karen Reed is scowling. Why wasn't Karen Reed crying? They're talking about discovering the body of Officer John O'Keefe. Why wasn't Karen Reed crying? It was a very emotional moment to relive. By the way, there would have been nothing wrong if Karen Reed had started crying. It would have been a natural reaction. They're taking her back to the event of when it happened. She started getting upset and crying. She's described as wildly hysterical. And why would you immediately jump to say that you think the guy's dead because he stayed out all night? They had a fight, and then it's not 12 hours later. It's like 4 hours later, 5 hours later. All right, folks, this portion of the program was brought to you by Kids Club on the Pike. Now, remember, right now, you can, that's just traffic. I can't control it. You can reserve a spot for your child or grandchild. Call Kids Club on the Pike, 401-443-5336. Look for them on Facebook. They have a great summer camp. Kids Club on the Pike, 401-443-5336. Remember, Kids Club on the Pike, birthday party venue, after school programs, preschool. Kids Club on the Pike, right off of 295 on the Cranston-Johnson line. It's Kids Club on the Pike. It just, there's something about her reaction. Why would she immediately fall to pieces? Her boyfriend's a Boston cop. Maybe they had a fight and he and a buddy went into the city. Maybe they shacked up somewhere. Maybe they pulled an all-nighter. Who knows? But you wouldn't be, her reaction of hysterical and out of her mind and crazy and calling Kerry Roberts saying John's dead. That's not a normal reaction. It's not 12 hours. It's not 24 hours later. I last saw him at 12:30, and now it's 4:30. All right, so if we're to believe Karen Reed, 1:30, 2:33, 4 hours later, you go into pieces. Why didn't her parents answer the phone? Why didn't Karen Reed's parents answer the phone? I find that very suspicious. She called them 3 times. Why didn't they answer the phone? I think that's very telling. Now, Alan Jackson is getting into Chloe the dog. There's no dog DNA, but he's going down that road. He's going into how come Brian Albert didn't come out of the house? He does live, he's in the front. They can address that when Brian Albert takes the stand. I'm very curious to see where this is going to go this afternoon, because in the first trial, it was very combative with Jen McCabe and Alan Jackson. I mean, it was Alan Jackson put on his law firm website on how combative it was with Jen McCabe. And then Alan Jackson, later in the trial, was saying, I damaged her enough. So very, very curious to see where that's going to go this afternoon. I'm going to talk about Pawtucket in just a moment, folks, but this portion of the program, and it's brought to you by Roof Co. Rhode Island. Call them 401-868-7149. 401-868-7149. Roof Co. Rhode Island. Do you need a new roof? Or better yet, do you want a quote, free estimate for a new roof? They'd be happy to give you a free estimate. Take advantage of it. Many times a roof, it'll be covered by insurance, but it's had wind damage. Or maybe you have a leaky roof. Or maybe missing lifted or curled shingles, granules in the gutter. Roof Co. Rhode Island. Call them today, 401-868-7149. Now, I also want to just I will talk about Pawtucket. That was obviously very dramatic. The Pawtucket police did put out a press release. I'm going to touch on it, but I also just want to mention what I found a lot of times with these trials. When you have an expert, and for instance, yesterday, defense attorney Bob Alisi, and he was arguing back and forth with Ian Whiffen. What I find is when they get into like the weeds, when they go like really inside, I find it tends to be a little bit of a wash. Now, so that can hurt the Commonwealth, that can hurt the state, but it also, I think, can hurt the defense, because what I am telling you as someone that was inside the courtroom, and I'm going to go back in there for the afternoon session, what I found was that Hank Brennan, the special prosecutor, his back and forth with Ian Whiffen of Celebrate, I thought it was more effective than defense attorney Robert Alisi trying to impeach him. I'm not saying Alisi didn't make some fair points, but I don't think it was enough to tilt it in his favor. I think the jury, what they took away was the flagpole and the temperature of the phone. And we watched it as it arrived at 34 Fairview. I thought very, very effective. Now, the Pawtucket homicide. This is from the Pawtucket police. We were live last night. I hope everyone caught that Pawtucket Police Chief Tina Gonzalez came right over and started telling us live what had happened. And then you see in the video the rest of the media scrambling. And I won't say which TV station asked her, what's your name and what's your rank? Kind of insulting to the only female police chief in Rhode Island. Vicinity of Bloomingdale, Humboldt Avenue, shots fired. Upon arrival, officers came upon an adult male suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. Victim was transported to Rhode Island Hospital, later pronounced deceased. Shooting appears to have been a targeted incident. Pawtucket police are furthering the investigation. So, as I have told you about that incident, number one, we could tell last night, if you were watching our live coverage, if you missed it, we have it on YouTube. We were also live on TikTok of that, but specifically Facebook. When we were live last night on the scene, when we had the police chief there, when we had Mayor Grabian there, I don't like to be the one on scene to announce that the person is deceased, even though you could tell that something very serious had occurred. So right now, the investigation is open. There was someone, a bolo went out on that silver sedan that I believe they blew out the windows. We're going to be following up on that. But folks, watch Road Patrol Live later. You want to become a subscriber. Remember, so much of this goes into subscription only, subscriber only. But as I have told you, there's a gang problem going on in the state, and no one's talking about it. No one's addressing it. Providence Police made some major arrests with some gang members at the end of last week. Now Pawtucket, you have Bucket East feuding with Bucket West. We have shootings going all over the place. I'm telling you right now, unless that gets addressed, there is problematic gang activity that is happening right now in the Ocean State. We're going to continue to cover it on Road Patrol Live. Now, let me stay on track here. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by Watson Materials. Remember, and this is their peak season. You want to enjoy the outdoors, Watson Materials, the most complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island, whether it's landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls. Call Sean, request a quote, Watson Materials, 401-885-0600, 401-885-0600 for Watson Materials. Now, right now it's 127. We are outside of the Karen Reed retrial. I'll say this, I think witness Jen McCabe, she's going to be back on the stand. She's being cross-examined by defense attorney Alan Jackson. So far, and it could change, so far it's not quite the fireworks that it was in the first trial. And I think part of that was having the Celebrite expert on the stand, Ian Whiffen, on Monday, and walking through about the Google search. I think the teeth have been taken out of that. I think also bringing to the jurors to 34 Fairview earlier, which they did on Friday, I think that works to the benefit. And so far, Jen McCabe is very subdued on the stand. She is very passive. I know outside of court, people like to say, oh, she's a liar, and they like to attack her. But I'm telling you, so far in this trial with this jury, they have no reason to not believe what Jen McCabe is saying. That's the way I see it. I understand things can alter, and let's see what Alan Jackson can do with it. But so far they have successfully confined this to what happened outside the house. Now, granted, there's still a long way to go, but this case has a lot of attention. Obviously, Court TV has tremendous coverage of it. And then I'm also going to be part of Fox Nation. We're going to be live with them Friday with Fox News Channel. So that'll be coming up on Friday. And they're carrying it. It's the defense has a lot of work to do. I'll say that. Now, on this Wednesday, Arch Design Builders, give them a call, 401-207-4124. If you're thinking of a new kitchen, a new bathroom, a new basement deck, special project, Arch Design Builders. Why not speak with experts, Ed and Roxanne? They'll walk you through the process. Arch Design Builders. They have a great Facebook presence. They have a great Instagram presence. Arch Design Builders. 401-207-4124. What a difference they could make for your home or business. It's Arch Design Builders. Now, I also want to touch on, so we talked about the homicide last night in Pawtucket. And those of you that are watching, I mean, we would have been there sooner, but I just got stuck with traffic. I was up here at the trial all day, and then we were there, getting there. And then also, obviously, a lot of coverage on the Reed case. I do a lot of posting of what's going on inside the courthouse on the platform of X, of which some people are on. And then we're posting other things on some other platforms. But I want to mention a couple of other items in the news. Number one, there have been some problems at TF Green Airport. TF Green Airport wants to privatize some of their services. Seems reasonable. They have doubled the number of direct flights. TF Green Airport, to me, if they know what's best for their operation, they want to privatize their police force, I believe. And Senator Jack Reed comes out and says, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. Hey, listen, in other parts of the country, other airports, they privatize it. They know what's best. They know how to do the operation. Some of the turmoil they've been dealing with is some of the nonsense from some of the union people assigned to the airport. I think TF Green Airport, I think they've done a fantastic job. Like I've said, there's nothing like a direct flight. They've more than doubled the number of direct flights. They obviously clearly know what they're doing. Let them run the operation. But I want to mention about former governor, former Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo has announced with David Axelrod that she is open to considering a run for president in 2028. Now, let it play out. She also is giving people the impression that all the people from Rhode Island are behind her. I'm not sold on that. I'll say this about Raimondo. Now, obviously, I covered her for 4 years as general treasurer, and then she left in 21. So I covered her for 12. Well, she didn't serve out her term, so about 10 years. But she has the ability to raise money. She's trying to make the election about the economy. When you want to size up Gina Raimondo and whether or not she's viable for a candidate to be president of the United States on the Democrat Party, what I think is interesting is what is the Democrat Party? What is the Democrat Party? Because right now, the loudest voices in the Democrat Party are Bernie Sanders and AOC. Gina Raimondo is not that. She has some progressive ideals, but she is not on board with AOC and Bernie Sanders. I know in our area, a lot of people would rule out Raimondo for president. You have to look at the scope nationwide. You have to look at who is her competition. Is AOC going to run? Bernie Sanders is too old. Is Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is he going to run? Is Raimondo really afraid of Kamala Harris? When you're Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo had the opportunity. She helped a lot of people make a lot of money. And so she won't have trouble raising money. But I think her candidacy, and I want to just make mention of it to go back to the retrial. I think her candidacy, Gina Raimondo, Queena, it's more about where's the party going to be at. She certainly has had a tricky relationship with labor, but she was Biden's Commerce Secretary. You can't rule someone out that backed Mike Bloomberg, but then got appointed to the Biden cabinet. She could get asked questions about, she never raised the alarm about the mental decline of Biden. But I think her future, Raimondo, depends on what the party is. If the party wants an AOC, if the party wants someone that is full-fledged, tax the rich, anti-business, pro-union, it basically becomes like a communist socialist message. If the party wants a Bernie Sanders AOC message, that is not Gina Raimondo. If they pull back and say maybe that's not the way forward, then she, don't underestimate her ability to raise money, and that's a big part of it, is if you can raise money. And I'm telling you, she helped, as Commerce Secretary, she helped a lot of people make a lot of money. It's kind of the nature of the job, but she made sure it was part of the job. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by ServPro Providence. Remember their website, servproprovidence.com. Call them at 401-941-5500. Now, why would you call ServPro? Fire, flood, you get water in your home or your business, maybe a pipe burst, water damage, fire, mold. ServPro of Providence. They're available 24/7. They are fast. They're thorough, professional. If you have a fire at 3 a.m, this is who you call. You have a pipe burst, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the morning, you call Serve Pro Providence online at serveproprovidence.com, 401-941-5500. If I had a fire, if I had a business that had a fire, if I had a business that had flood, and many times if your building's on fire, you're going to have a lot of water. I would call, this is who I would call, Serve Pro Providence, 401-941-5500. All right, 1:36, Wednesday. We are live right now on AM 1380, 99.9 FM. We're also live online at the website, dpetro.com. And then you can also watch, interact on X, YouTube, and obviously our Facebook page. Yes, we'll be out with Road Patrol Live later. I received an email, message last night about the Karen Reed trial. Folks, I just implore you to just watch the trial when you can and watch the evidence that is presented, as a matter of fact. And this is a different trial. This is different than last time. And I also want to give you some insight how I view this and cover it. To me, people will ask me, do you think she's guilty? To me, it's not a matter of whether or not she's guilty. To me, is can the prosecution put on a compelling case where they can make the argument that she's guilty? That's how I view it. You know, last spring, I was standing, and we're right in Dedham, I was standing right outside, and there were people around me, some members of the media. One was wearing pink, a female, saying the jury was going to deliberate for 30 minutes and come back with a not guilty on offer. I said, I'm not convinced of that. I'm not convinced of that. I think they made a pretty decent case. It went way too long. It was a little disjointed, but I didn't feel that she was immediately going to be let go. So, you know, there's a great line in A Few Good Men with Tom Cruise as Lieutenant Caffey. And what does he say? He says, it's not a matter of what I think, it's what I can prove. And he's even mocking Demi Moore, one of the other attorneys. So, you know, maybe we'll just do the liar, liar, pants on fire defense. My point is, this comes down to if they can make the argument. And I would just tell you right now, day 7, they're painting a picture. They're telling a story to the jury. They are sharing with the jury a narrative. Right now, it's on that night. Now, there are people out there, they listen in bits and pieces, and they don't follow the trial. And there's people out there there's still people out there that think that they're going with the third-party culprit defense. It's day 7. There's been no mention of Colin Albert. I had someone message me on TikTok last night. Colin Albert attacked him. He's not even in this. When the defense started this time around, they didn't say Karen Reed was framed. Some of the people, I just implore you got to go with what's current, what's being allowed right now. How is it flowing? Now, this, make no mistake about it, this cross-examination of Alan Jackson cross-examining witness Jen McCabe, this is a big moment. This is a big moment in the trial. There are some moments that are bigger than others, but they certainly laid the groundwork. They laid the groundwork with taking the jurors to 34 Fairview on Friday, and then the Celebrate expert. I recognize some people say, oh, you know, they've proven they lied and stuff like that. You got to realize whether or not it resonates. The jurors in the Karen Reed trial last spring, what did they say when they came out? They believed the witnesses. They came out and said that they didn't believe the third-party culprit story, that he was dragged into the house and beaten to death in the basement and thrown on the lawn. So as a result of that, the defense, they abandoned the third-party culprit defense. So there's so many sirens around here. My point is, with the trial, this still has a long way to go. There's going to be certain moments that are going to resonate And there's two different atmospheres. There's the atmosphere inside the courtroom, and then there's the atmosphere outside the courtroom. I'm telling you right now, inside the courtroom, Nuttall was a good witness. Kerry Roberts was a good witness. The other paramedic that Karen Reed said, how long can someone survive outside in the cold, was a good witness. And right now, unless proven differently, Jen McCabe is proving to be a good witness. That could change. That could change. Outside the court, a number of the Karen Reed supporters, oh, this one's a liar, that one's a liar. They think everybody's a liar. I'm just telling you, it's not resonating in the courtroom. The jury, it's not coming off like that. And I still believe the jury, I know a lot of people are making trying to, about that Alan Jackson caught Jen McCabe in a lie about the federal investigation. I'm just telling you, it was too vague. I don't think it was the home run. It could prove to be, but right now, there's a difference when Hank Brennan gets up. The guy's got special prosecutor. He's got command of the courtroom. The jury is seeing him in action. He's very, very effective. The judge never has to tell him to raise his voice. It is he's got the trial going into a good flow. Let's see if Alan Jackson, the defense attorney, can put the brakes on that. Again, I'm going to go back inside in just a moment, and Jen McCabe stays on the stand. Folks, this portion of our program brought to you by Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Call Corey today, 401-283-9815. Whether it's your parking lot or maybe it is a sport court, resurfacing, pickleball, tennis, basketball, the epoxy garages and patios, decorative concrete flooring, they'll seal coat a driveway, parking lot, Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Call them today, 401-283-9815, 401-283-9815. They have a very good social media presence. Roger, I'm going to toss it back to you in the studio in just 1 minute, and I'm talking to Roger at WNRI. So we're going to toss it back to him. Again, folks, it's Wednesday. I'm going to go back into court with the Karen Reed retrial. We will be active later on Road Patrol Live. If you're watching, we're going to be back later on. If you're listening, stay tuned. A lot more to go between now and 2 o'clock right here on the John DePietro Show. We're going to kick it back to Roger in the studio.